What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Kamen Writers. We are a Kamen Rider review podcast, and today we're going to talk about Kamen Rider Gotchard, episode 48. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. How's it going, Toby?
I'm not speaking to you because you lied to me.
Oh no, what did I lie to you about?
I was told there was no work this week.
Oh
and
my
now
God.
and now I am posted up in my hot, dank, stinky office talking to you when I was told that for whatever reason there was no episode this week. And
First
I
of
am
all,
so beyond mad at you and everyone else that this is going to be ridiculous.
First of all, I always knew that you were dank, so I'm glad to have confirmation about that now. So here's the thing, and I was laughing about this yesterday because I thought that I was like ahead of the game. I thought I was doing very good because a lot of times when Kamen Rider takes a break for a week, oftentimes in Japan, it is because it is preempted on the TV station that airs it, which is I think Abima maybe. It's preempted by like a golf tournament or something, right? And obviously, I don't follow Japanese television stations on social media, and also I can't read Japanese. So I often find out after the fact that, like, oh, I guess there was no episode this week. I'll go look it up, and then I'll be like, oh, I guess there was a golf tournament or something. This was the very first time in my entire time of watching Kamen Rider where I knew of a delay ahead of time before it was going to happen. And I felt very, very cool. I felt like I was on top of things. It gave you and I a chance to like plan ahead. We had a whole other thing that we were going to do tonight instead. And then you tell me like, oh, by the way, the episode actually did come out. So then I had to go back and look up again the thing that made me think that it wasn't coming out. So it's a social media post from a Japanese TV show that I'm like translating with freaking Google Lens, holding up my phone to it to figure out what it's saying. It was supposed to, I believe, and again, I might be wrong, translation issues and such, but I believe episode 48 wasn't supposed to happen this week. It was supposed to get pushed back to next week because of Japanese high school baseball tournaments being aired instead. However, it said in like fine print that if the baseball tournament was canceled, the episode would air like normal. So I'm assuming that Japanese high school baseball was canceled for the week. So we got our Kamen Rider episode. And I was laughing last night telling my wife how insane it is that like I am a I'm a man doing a podcast in America stressing over the schedule of a Japanese high school baseball team and whether or not that made my Japanese children's TV show air for the week or not. It's just such a ridiculous, weird scenario. But we got our episode, so we got one. We got to watch it, Joey. Congratulations to us.
If you say so. The most ridiculous thing is, so like you were all hyped. We had all the conversations. You're like, yo, I got insider stuff. And then it was for me, the true embarrassment here was that I was all like, wow, Josh knows secret stuff. We recorded the episode. No one knows that we're going to say these things yet. So I was trying to tell people, like, I was telling other people, I was like, yo, did you hear the hot goss about this week?
I mean,
like,
you look dumb.
And they were like, no. And then I said, well, like, the episode 48 is not this week, so it's next week. And then the week after, they're going to double up 49 and 50. And that sounds kind of silly, don't you think? And I was flexing, like, I know a guy, he told me all this stuff. And then it's like, and then when we found out later, I was given the information, like, hey, the episode's out. And I've never been so embarrassed my entire life this week.
That's how I felt too. You listen, in our relationship and in terms of Kamen Rider, you rely on me for a lot of the detailed information and the knowledge, right?
I rely on you for everything related to Kamen Rider, other than downloading the episode for me, because I can do that myself. But everything else is...
The first time, though, I had to basically hold your hand about downloading the episode.
Yeah. And everything, you're supposed to be in charge. You're like the boss. You're like, I come to you, hey, manager, I think my 15-minute break's up. Should I go back on the register? Should I do something else? And I was just all excited. I was like, wow, Josh is really helping me out this time.
Yeah.
Now it all just falls apart.
I failed us. Yeah, that was my feeling as well. Was pure embarrassment because I was supposed to be the one who knew what was going on. I was supposed to be the one leading this team, and I let us down because Kamen Rider happened.
That bastard Gotchard.
But anyway, now we don't have to do the
Now
other fun stuff that we had planned.
So I guess the real question then is though, so is episode 49 and 50 still a double one?
I don't think so. So I
so
think
you just fully lied. So you just
no.
popped off with all these crazy facts, like, oh, it's Sunday and then Monday, but it's not that either.
Well, it doesn't have to be now because we didn't skip a week. That was only going to happen because we skipped a week. So we had a firm ending that Gotchard had to be done by because Gav was going to start, right? September whatever it is, 1st or whatever. So in order to fit in all the episodes, if we skip a week because of high school baseball, we had to have the 2 in a row, the Sunday Monday episodes. Now we didn't skip a week, so I don't think we have the 2 in a row anymore.
Okay.
I think that
can go back to my original
tweet
plan
that I translated is just completely done now. None of it is true.
So I can go back to my original plan of not watching 49 or 50, just in case Gav comes out a week or two early.
Yeah. So really, this is your finale.
That's fantastic. This is a pretty good episode for that.
Toby's finale of Gotchard.
I was actually tempted to not even talk post yelling at you, and just let you vamp for 5 minutes to see what you would do, and then we could have went from there. But it's okay. Well, I'll pretend I still like you. Okay, we can talk about some Gotchard Kamen Rider nonsense if you would like.
That's what I like about you, that you're willing to pretend that you like me for the so yeah, sorry anyone out there that we inadvertently misled about the episode potentially not happening, but boy, it'd be a lot better if either we spoke Japanese or the people in Japan spoke English. If we could just have a one universal language for the world of some kind, it would really clear some things up.
I feel like if I tried to translate this post, I could do it properly. And if I don't want to even look at it, because if that's true, I'm gonna get extra mad about this. I'm gonna be. What?
Nothing. Go on.
Oh no, that's all.
I was just being a jerk about your Japanese skills. That was all. Toby, it's
not very kakui of you.
I feel like you and I now at this point know just enough Japanese to be dangerous. Just enough to just really be confidently wrong in everything that we say.
That's exactly what I'm going to do too.
Speaking of being confidently wrong, if you would like more of Toby and I being confidently wrong, we have a Patreon. I want to tell you about that right up front. Patreon.com/thecommentwriters. If you want more of this for just $3 a month, you get access to all of our bonus content, which is us watching Sentai and us watching other tokusatsu. Right now we are watching Kamen Rider O's and Boon Boomjer. And if you would like to watch those along with us in a kind of Mystery Science Theater-esque way, you can join up with the Patreon, patreon.com/thecommentwriters, and you get access to all those things and all the ones we've done in the past too. So signing up now gets you literally over 100 pieces of content to go back and watch through. And you also get access to our Discord, where all kinds of random nonsense happens. And it's super fun. Get in there to the Discord. One thing I will tell everyone, though, speaking of Patreon, things they are a-changing over in the world of Patreon. And coming in November, they are going to be changing how these subscriptions work if you are subscribing from iOS, so from your iPhone or from your iPad. Because Apple charges, I guess, an extra fee or whatever, it's going to cost more, basically is what that means, if you are trying to subscribe from your iOS device. So go subscribe on web if you want to subscribe to the Comment Writers. We get the same amount of money either way from it, based on how I have set it up and what to do, but you would be paying more, and we don't want you to pay more for our dumb nonsense. So go sign up on the web. Then you can still view all of our stuff in the iOS app. That still is fine. Just don't do the initial sign up from iOS. And that's not just true of Patreon. That's pretty much true of anything, because I think Audible does the same thing where they charge more on iOS, and probably a few others as well that I'm not even sure of. So always be suspicious, Toby, of subscription prices when they're listed on your Apple device, because they probably are jacking it up a little bit, just to make the Apple experience cheaper for them.
Wasn't that what Fortnite tried to sue Apple for, or Epic tried to sue Apple for, because they were taking double dipping the V-Bucks or some shit like that?
Yeah,
before before they banned themselves and came back and everything else. And
I think that was one of the complaints. Yeah, because you can't run your own storefront on Apple devices. Apple has to like have a cut of it, and Apple's cut on all their like transactions and stuff is like very high. Like it's like a big amount. And of course, Patreon already takes a cut of anything that like you sign up for. So the whole amount doesn't go to the creators. Patreon takes some percent. For us, it's 8%. If we were larger creators, it might be a little bit less, but for now, it's 8% for us. But Apple is going to take like 40% or something crazy like that. So, anywho, that's the difference. It will cost more on iOS, so make sure you don't sign up on iOS, or if you do, maybe don't in the future. I don't know, because also one thing I'm not sure of that wasn't super clear, maybe this will become clear down the road. If you sign up now in iOS and then it charges you for the November month, when we get to the November month, does the price go up? Does it change at that point? I'm not sure. I don't have the answer to that. So if you're thinking about signing up, just keep it in the back of your mind. Probably do it on the website instead of doing it on iOS.
Yeah, fuck
anyway,
Apple. I agree.
Yeah, that's really where we're at. But if you are in the Discord already, you would probably know, and I can tell the rest of the world here, that there is a way that you can ask us questions in the Discord, Toby, and that is in the episode questions channel that is appropriately named episode questions.
That's a genius move by a genius person.
Yeah, it's almost like the lackey who gets told what to do had a good idea.
Wait, who told you what to do?
we just did a whole bit how I was in charge of everything, and you ask if you should be on the register or if you should be doing something else. But you did the episode questions channel all on your own accord.
Yeah, and like a good boss, Josh is gonna take credit. He's gonna be, oh, my lackey, this damn so and so.
I kind of did both, because I called you a lackey, but then I made it clear that it was your idea. So I'm really bad at taking credit for other people's work, I guess.
That's like when you do like it's either called like a compliment sandwich or an insult sandwich, where you have the two nice things and you put the bad thing in the middle. Like you're supposed to use it at work when you talk to, like when you're a manager and you need to like straighten people out. You say like, well, you did a fantastic job today at re-alphabetizing those games, but your hygiene is fucking disgusting. I don't know why. But yeah, if you just like organize the games again tomorrow, that'd be a great thing. And then the person be like, wow, I'm so good at organizing games, A, B, C, and then D. I'm a freaking genius.
And see, with you, I prefer to use the insult triple stack, where I say things like, well, you're ugly, you can't read, and you're not funny. And that's how we do our performance check-ins.
I think it's funny. You're telling me I can't read, and yet you're the one that fucked this week up with the episode.
Well, I can't read Japanese. Anyway, I'm going to be salty about that.
Let's read some questions from the Discord.
So we do have a few questions from the Discord this week. First comes in from Locke. Locke says, what are your favorite Kemi or Gotchard's form? So we've talked about favorite Kemi before. Just to refresh everyone's memory, Toby, what's your favorite Kemi?
Definitely the hot pepper.
Hot pepper is good. I like smartphone, I think was what I said the first time around. Smartphone still is pretty high. That's a pretty good one. I also this is gonna lead me into the form. I like the cactus Sabo Needle. If you remember, Sabo Needle is a really good one.
That's a good one. The eraser. If the eraser had a form tied to it, which I don't think we ever saw, that would be another great one.
It would be. And yeah, for form for me, I think the Sabo Needle Hawk combination, like where he's like he can fly in the air and he's all pointy like a cactus. I think like looks wise, just visually, I think that might be my favorite of them. There are some that are funny looking that I enjoy, like the like scuba one, the underwater one is really good for that reason. But in terms of, I think, like, looks really cool and would be a cool like action figure, I think the Sabo Needle one is maybe my favorite. What about you?
Josh sent me a picture of all the forms just in case I wanted to like actually try to figure out which one I like the best. So counting it, there's 46 of them, and they're all different enough where for whatever reason, like seeing them all as one big picture together, it's the most like Mega Man ass vibe I've ever caught from the show. Where it's basically like, this one is when you have the cactus power up. This one's when you have the gorilla power up. This one is after you killed the vampire bat, and now you have vampire bat wings. And like, it just, for whatever reason, like seeing them all together in one big picture and how distinct. Like, if I knew the chemis better, I could probably cherry pick a bunch of these chemis by name and then be like, oh, this is this form because he looks like this. So yeah, this is the most Mega Man ass show ever.
Yeah, I can do that with most of these, or a lot. I guess, well, I won't say most. I can do it with some of these and be like, oh yeah, that's that one. That was this at least. I can pull out at least one of the chemi for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is very Mega Man. You're right. Yeah, it's like I'm powering up with the boss that I just defeated with the the chemi that I just won. Totally. Yeah, 100%. And then we got, the actual like power up forms too. So like there's been like, which aren't even in this image, because this image is, I think, older from when before the show was kind of ramping up to where Hodoro was then getting upgrades. Because so we have all the crazy rainbow ones, and we got when he got like the train upgrade and stuff like that. So there's a lot of forms. There's a lot of forms.
I also feel like Daybreak's not on that picture.
Yeah, I don't think that's what I'm saying. I think that picture is old. So it doesn't even include the full breadth of possibilities. Yeah. But super fun. Locke, thanks for the question. Next question in the Discord comes from Charlie. Charlie says, Josh and Toby, I need your opinion on an age-old debate in a battle between one of every Pokemon or a billion lions. Who would win?
So I don't even see how this would be a debate, because any flying Pokemon, like, you don't need one of every Pokemon. Like, you just get Charizard and then just set them all on fire with like flamethrower or something.
That's I thought you were going the other way. I can't believe this is a debate, because a billion lions is still a billion of something.
No, like, all you need is a flying Pokemon and you just hover over them and it doesn't even matter. Like Mew or Mewtwo or any of the crazy super powerful psychic ones, or like, no? Is that
I guess. So the flying I hadn't really considered, I guess, but like eventually a Charizard's going to get tired. And like there are like 1,000 different Pokemon. I was just looking up the exact number. There are 1,025 Pokemon now in total. So that's a lot less than a billion. That's really where I was going from the beginning, is like the lions are just going to overwhelm them with numbers. But then I remembered that there are Pokemon now that are essentially just God, like Pokemon that can like completely rewrite time and history and all kinds of everything, space, and the lions would just cease to exist when one of the Pokemon got upset. So yeah, it's probably the Pokemon, I guess.
Yeah, like Googling the most powerful Pokemon. Arceus, I guess, is the accepted lore most popular one. By far the most naturally powerful one. It's the closest thing that Pokeworld has to an actual god, and as such has powers you won't find in any other. There's multi-type, which allows it to change forms at will, telepathy, and the ability to control other legendary Pokemon. So like, if they can shapeshift and then like do crazy god stuff and everything else, like, wouldn't even be a battle. But I still think a flying one, like let's say there's a billion lions, and even if it's like a classic, like the classic fight in the Matrix, the second one, I think, maybe the third one, when the CG started getting real shitty, and like 100 Agent Smiths were in a circle around Neo, and he was fighting with the metal pole, and eventually it turns from like humans into really bad computer graphics. Like it's like you have to be in a circle. Like if the lions all line up in ranks, the flamethrower just catches the first couple rows, and you have time to like relax a little bit. Or if they go into circles around you, you can just spin around and light them all on fire, and have time to like. At some point, like the charred bodies are going to stack up. You have a wall of fire around you. You're safe there. And lions are flammable. Like if we're going to talk logistics here, you set that first one on fire and it freaks out. it could run to like 20 more and set
Yeah,
them on fire. And it's
that's
like
true.
one of those crazy like one of those fun games where you set off one reaction and like 20 reactions go off.
Listen, all that's true. I'm buying all of that. If the battle was like one Charizard versus 10,000 lions. But like a billion is a number that's so large we can't even like comprehend how many that is. Like that's just so insurmountable. I feel like eventually if a billion lions, like the Charizard would run out of fire breath and he would tire himself out and he would have been burning lions for 3 years at that point and he still would have 500 million lions to go or something. I don't know. It's just such a huge number that I don't know that like one fire breathing Pokemon is gonna necessarily put a dent in that. Now there are lots of fire breathing Pokemon for sure, and there are gods, but I think the 1 billion lions do better than we think. Is all I'm saying.
Like yeah, for maybe if it's like the full breadth of the Pokemon verse, like some are ice cream. Like the lions are gonna fuck up
Yeah,
the ice cream. That's no big deal. A bag of trash, a set of keys, like they have no shot. But I'm just saying, like if you can get the upper hand, if you get first strike, if the maybe fire is not highly effective against lion types, but something else is, maybe ice. I don't know. There's a lot of options though.
you bring up a great point though that not every Pokemon is a banger. Like a lot of Pokemon, like you said, are like a pile of old keys or a ghost that just wants to be hugged or a crazy guy who's slow and sleeps all the time or a bag of trash or an ice cream cone. Every lion is still a lion. Like you got a billion lions, they're all lions. There aren't like, well, this lion is actually just like a pile of marbles and this lion is cotton candy. No, they're all just lions. So, you know, there's that. It's as if it's the question that we're basically asking here is like, would you take one of every Pokemon versus a billion Vulpixes or something? like they're not the best Pokemon, but they're also not the worst, and there's so many of them. I don't know. I want to see someone make this in some sort of like simulation. Just create a simulation of every Pokemon and then a billion lions and put them all in a box and see what happens and record it for me. That's what I want.
Isn't there totally accurate battle simulator? I think it
Yeah.
is.
Yes, that's what I want. I want that for this.
I can only hope someone can do that. I wonder if there's a way to like, can you mod stuff in that game? We might have to look into this separate.
Yeah, well, this might be a thing we have to do at some point. Is figure out how to mod that game. But yeah, that sounds perfect. And Toby, our last question comes in from Liv. Liv wants to know our best dipping sauce / condiment with a soft pretzel. So you've got a soft pretzel. Maybe you're at home. Maybe you've got a soft pretzel at home, but more likely you're at an event of some kind. Maybe you're at the fair. Maybe you're at a sporting event. You order yourself a soft pretzel. It's got some, it's got some salt on it. It's quite large. What are you pairing that with? What's your ideal? We'll say what are you realistically getting, at the event you're at, and then also like what's your dream dip here?
So just plain ass yellow mustard is all I really need.
Oh my god.
I can eat them dry, and that's actually might be my favorite. But like my life hack is if I get like Wawa is a food chain. We talk about food a lot here. If I get a giant salad from them and there's like dressing left over, I'll dip my pretzel in the dressing to make sure I get all the salad eaten properly. And that's like a cheat move. But just today I had one with pretzel with habanero cherry mustard. And that burnt like crazy, but that was delicious.
There are two types of people in the world. Those that get their pretzels with mustard and those that think the mustard pretzels are disgusting, and that's me. I'm the disgusting disgusting mustard person. I don't like mustard in general, and there's something about dipping a pretzel in mustard that extra grosses me out. I don't know why. I can't explain it. Like mustard on a hot dog it's not something I would pick, but I understand it, I guess, at least. But for some reason, a pretzel and mustard is just, it feels it feels like extra dirty. It feels like a sin or something. Like it feels illicit in a way that mustard on a hot dog doesn't. So sorry about that. Sorry I feel that way about you and your food habits. My dip though, I like a good classic nacho cheese. You know, I like a good dip like that.
Like a sporting event style, like, hey,
Yeah, just give me a cup.
there's this lukewarm cheese just floating here.
I want, ideally, I'm scraping some skin off the top of it when I'm starting. Yeah. Like it's sat there long enough that like there's a little bit of layer and you kind of gotta move it to get the hot cheese underneath. That's good. That's ideal pretzel eating for me. Like you, I can also do like a no dip situation with a pretzel. They're good enough on their own. I think that's fine. But I just had a thought, and I've never tried this personally, so no one get grossed out. But I really enjoy when you go to a chicken place. Sometimes they will offer gravy as a dipping sauce for your chicken, which is always my go-to. When you go to a chicken place and gravy is an option, I always get the gravy. It's really good in chicken. Usually the chicken comes with a piece of bread. Dipping the bread is good in the gravy. Dipping fries is good in the gravy. I want to try dipping a soft pretzel in gravy. I think that might be a whole world of possibilities open to me.
That's a disgusting mix.
But it's basically bread. I already like dipping bread in gravy. I like biscuits and gravy. That's just bread and gravy. It's all just bread. I think it'd be great. Hear me out. Hear me out.
I hear you, and that's the problem.
This is my toilet hot dog. That's all I'm saying.
Josh, real quick before we get to the bread and butter and gravy of this episode itself, I asked AI who would win, one of every Pokemon or a billion lions. And I have some facts I want to hit you with that maybe we didn't discuss properly.
All right, let's hear it.
This hypothetical scenario of a battle between one of every Pokemon and a billion lions is a fun thought experiment. Here's a few points.
Can I stop you for a second there? I fucking hate how AI talks. I feel like I can peg an AI sentence for 1,000 yards at this point in my life, and I've heard so goddamn many of them. All right, anyway, go on. That's all. That's all. They all start this way. They all do this. Why do they try to gas me up? They just give me the answer. Why do they do it? Why do they? I'm upset. Go ahead.
Here's a few points to consider. Number 1, diversity of Pokemon. There are currently over 900 Pokemon, each with unique abilities, types, and powers. Many Pokemon have elemental powers like Fire, Water, Psychic, status effects, and various strengths that can be utilized strategically. Number 2, battle mechanics. Pokemon battles in the games often utilize type advantages. Water beats fire, electric beats water. Certain Pokemon can also use moves that affect the battlefield, inflict status conditions, or even create illusions. On the opposite side of this, Lion's strength. A billion lions would present a massive physical force. They are strong, fast, and have teamwork dynamics, but their strategy and tactics would be relatively straightforward compared to the diverse and varied techniques available to Pokemon.
Whoa. Assuming that lions have teamwork amongst the lions, that's a big claim. I don't know that we can.
That's how they hunt.
But I don't know that we can assume that a billion lions are all going to work together. Like, how many lions in the wild are working together? Like, what if all of it's a vast network.
They have hacker shit, man. Don't worry about it.
Carry on.
Environmental factors. The environment can play a significant role. Many Pokemon have abilities tied to their surroundings or can manipulate the terrain. In conclusion, while a billion lions will be formidable due to sheer numbers, the vast array of abilities, tactics, and strategies available to Pokemon would likely give them a significant advantage in this hypothetical battle. It would depend significantly on the circumstances and specific Pokemon involved, but the diversity and special powers of Pokemon might lead them to victory.
Might. All that, and they say might. If we're just making things up, AI, I want you to be definitive here. Tell me who's going to win for sure. Can you tell the AI back to stop sounding like an AI and to come up with a definitive answer?
I asked the AI, who's dumber, AI or Pokemon? Comparing the intelligence of AI to that of Pokemon is an interesting discussion, but it's important to note that they exist in very different contexts.
That is
AI, like chatbots or machine learning systems, can process vast amounts of data, learn from patterns, perform complex calculations or tasks. AI has advanced significantly in specific domains such as natural language processing. I kind of think that's bullshit. Image recognition and game playing, but lacks general intelligence and emotional understanding that a human possesses. AI operates on algorithms and training data, doesn't have feelings, consciousness, or self-awareness. Pokemon. Pokemon are fictional creatures from a video game and media franchise. Their characteristics, intelligence, and behaviors are defined from the game mechanics themselves and the lore created by the game's developers. While some Pokemon are depicted as very intelligent, like Alakazam, many are portrayed as more instinctual and animal-like. They don't possess cognition or intelligence in the way that real animals or humans do. Their intelligence is a narrative device. In summary, while AI has evolved to solve problems and can exhibit a form of intelligence, it is fundamentally different from the fictional intelligence of Pokemon. In a strict sense, we could say AI, particularly advanced forms, is smarter in terms of capabilities, but Pokemon's intelligence is tied to story writing and gameplay rather than real cognitive abilities. So in essence, the question may not have a definitive answer. It depends on how you define dumb and the context I'm considering.
AI sucks at this. Ask him how many toes Pokemon have, like all together. If you have one of every Pokemon, how many toes are there?
All right.
So I want to know. While we pull up the email that I'm going to read, you can tell me how many toes Pokemon have.
Determine the total number of toes to consider how many Pokemon there are and how many toes each one has. Total number of Pokemon as of October 2023, there are over 900. Types of toes. Pokemon have a variety of designs and number of toes vary wildly. Many quadrupedal Pokemon, like Arcanine and Gyarados, typically have 4 toes on each foot, totaling 16 toes. Bipedal Pokemon, like Pikachu or Lucario, usually have 5 toes on each foot, totaling 10 toes. Certain Pokemon have different configurations, such as having no toes or more than 5, reflecting unique designs. Given the diversity in design, it's not feasible to provide an accurate total number of toes without detailed information about each Pokemon. For a rough estimate, they assume there's about 9,000 toes. They're doing 10 toes per Pokemon with 900 Pokemon.
This is the shit I'm talking about, Toby. Every AI response sounds like someone's given a book report in 5th grade. I just asked for a goddamn number. That's all I wanted. 9,000 toes. Fine.
Name this episode 9,000 Toes, please.
9,000 toes. Toby, we have an email this week. We have an email address, first of all, cast@commonwritersucks.com if you would like to send us in an email. Shade, our friend Shade, sent us in an email this week. And Shade's got some news. I want to go over it quickly, and then we'll jump into our episode discussion. So Shade talks about the fact that the Kamen Rider Gav sort of intro video has been released. So spoilers are going to be out there pretty big and heavy for the story. So if you're trying to avoid those, keep that in mind. And then Shade tells us about a really interesting thing that's happening. Strange, interesting thing that's happening, which is the Kamen Rider Reiwa Gorgeous Sports Day. So basically, what this is it is a track and field event led by Kamen Rider legend.
I would say it actually it sounds very Olympic-y.
Yep, it's very Olympic-y. Shade says you guys are probably going to be very confused upon hearing this news because why on earth are the Kamen Riders playing sports all of a sudden? The Olympics are supposed to be over. Well, my friends, I'm here to answer your questions. Although we don't know the specifics of the event, what they're describing sounds very similar to Kamen Rider Decade's net movie All Riders Athletic Meet. If you don't remember what net movies are, they're basically short online comedic sketches made to promote the new Kamen Rider movie. The sketches often feature behind-the-scenes humor, trivia, or even just plain absurdity. This specific net movie features the Kamen Rider suit actors racing each other in Kamen Rider suits, along with commentary from the cast, and it is funny AF. So yeah, the video is exactly that. It's like they're on a track and field, and they're in their full Kamen Rider suits, and they're racing each other. So
that makes it fantastic because those suits seem bulky and clunky, and
yep.
I want the good events though. Like I'd like track and field can entail a lot of things. I want like hurdles or like pole vault or things that really put the suit to the test.
Oh yeah, me too. That'd be ideal. But yeah, it seems like we are getting. Let me see if I can find if they give any information about the events. It doesn't really say what the events will be. The Kamen Riders that are participating looks like Gotchard, Geets, Revis, Vice, Saber, 01, Majade. These are poorly translated. But it's all the hits. And then we're gonna have other participating Kamen Riders. There's going to be a Showa team, a Heisei team, and a Reiwa team. So then Kuga's involved, Blade's here, drives here, the original Kamen Rider, Kamen Rider V3, Kamen Rider Amazon. There's gonna be lots of people, but that should be hilarious and fun. I hope that is as good as my brain is picturing it being. And then Shade goes on to give us some information on Gav. A couple things are interesting here. First is that
no spoilers before you start doing it. Nothing
there's no spoilers. This is all behind the scenes stuff. So Gav is, according to a leak by an extra on set, Gav is currently in the process of filming episodes 19 and 20. They're that far into the show. So Shade speculates basically that, hey, we're never this far along. They're usually like a month out, a month ahead of TV, like at most. And if it's this far ahead, maybe that means that like the CGI is better than normal. The effects are better than normal, because production will have a little bit more time before the episodes air to get that stuff done. So that's interesting. I like that they're that far ahead. It does mean if everyone hates the first 5 episodes, they will have a longer time before they can respond to those things. And we've definitely seen them make some shifts along the way in shows as they are airing. So that'll be interesting that they won't be able to respond that quickly.
That's actually a really good point. Like, I guess it really applies for all shows, but like the Gotchard reset, I feel like was tied to it was slow, the new year was flipping around kind of thing. But yeah, like if the season's 50, using like the base number that seems to be like kind of the OG-ish normal number, if we're saying like 50 episodes again, and you're already halfway through the show, they better hope they wrote like the best goddamn show ever, or else, like, what do? You just let people bitch for 3 months and
I guess, yeah. You could maybe do some like re-editing, or maybe you could do some reshoots if you need to very quickly, if you like really need to change an episode that's already in the can. But I guess for the most part, you just sort of have to write it out and then change it after you can. I don't know.
Or I guess too, like, I know when like they used to show production numbers of episodes more, like in the old days, I feel like if you looked online, they're like, oh, episode 103 is actually episode 2 of the release dates. Like, I guess depending on the story, they could always make like episode 13 be the 27th episode they recorded and just like kind of swerve things around a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess again, like, it just depends on the overarching story and how they move things around. Because I mean, like the legend weeks from Gotchard this time
could have been anytime.
Yeah, they really could have been anywhere. Like, barring the hey, we already met him, I know who he is. But that could have been like week 30. It was actually week 40 something, I think. Actually, it came out to. So I guess you can still work around it, but you're definitely putting yourself in a hole if you want to try to react to people's thoughts of your show.
Absolutely, which is interesting that they're doing that right after Gotchard, which I feel like they reacted to very aggressively. Like we talked about that early on in this show. They essentially came out with like a big thesis statement that was like, things are changing. It's a new year. Give us a shot again. So yeah, interesting that they are coming off of a show where they did do some aggressive reacting to public perception, and then are not going to be able to as much. But I'm interested in the technical reason why they are this far ahead, and we'll never know. I don't think the answer to that, but like, is there something to do with the show that made them think they needed to be this far ahead, or did timing just work out this way? That'll be fun to speculate on as we get into the show. Like, ooh, this seemed complicated, or you had to do this at a certain time, or something. And the other piece that Shade points out as far as news is we now know that Gav's main writer is a woman named Junko Komura. And apparently she has written Sentai shows before. And Shade basically says, her series are liked. They're not like S tier shows, but they're like A or B tier. And Shade thinks that with her writing, she does a good job at writing character interactions and relationships. They always feel genuine, so Shade thinks that we are in good hands with her as the main writer for Gav. So that's interesting to know as well. So yeah, we are barreling down the ending here of Gotchard and heading to Gav here pretty soon. There are some producers blog items here we'll maybe skip and we'll jump into discussion of the episode.
Let's do it.
Let us do it. So this one, hot off the heels of really a banger episode, I think we both agreed last week, where Spanner broke bad, basically decided he wanted to transmute 101 chemis onto his body, gets interrupted, but doesn't, rejoin the crew. He kind of walks off and we split ways forever. And we find out as well that Kudo was the human model for Atropos. She's the human that the Atropos homunculi, the Atropos doll, was based on. So that is the main focus of this episode is the Kudo Atropos relationship. And right off the bat, very first thing, Kudo screams in pain. Her crest that appeared on her hand lights up, and then she disappears. And conveniently, Sabi recognized the crest as Galia's crest, the Abyssalisk King Galia. I don't know how he knew that, but he clocked that from afar. So they instantly know sort of who took Kudo and what's going on. And then also in the opening little bits here, Toby, we get really the setup for the main, I guess, twist in the episode. And we see Kudo's dad again, which is a huge shocker. I thought he wouldn't be appearing in the show again. But he's back. He's nursing Spanner back to health after the events of last episode. And he's in his little hideout that we've seen before. And who shows up at the door, pounding on it, but Garyon himself. And Garyon is screaming and crying about saving Atropos. And at this point, it seems genuine. It seems like he actually wants to save his daughter. He's like all out of sorts, and he's asking Kudo's dad for help. What were your thoughts at this point?
It was actually impressive that, I don't know, it's hard to talk around. Or, I mean, like, everyone watched the episode.
Yeah, spoil it. Go ahead.
So, like, it's crazy how hard both dads seemed like dads in the beginning.
Yeah.
And their concern for their respective daughters and those two's whole story, like, inevitably turns out to be like, Garyon was like, I was jealous of what you had with Kudo, so I made my own Kudo, basically.
Yep.
And, like, the swerve of, oh shit, Garyon cares, he wants to make sure Atropo lives, to, yeah, I made her because I wish I had a daughter, I wanted the family, to the swerve at the end when he just flat out tells her, like, oh yeah, I never thought I was your dad, I was just lying to you the whole fucking time, you're just a dumb doll. Like, that whole ride was absolutely wild. And that was like, it would have been weeks, if not months ago now. We were always talking on how the swerve would be of what turns Atropos to the good side.
Yeah.
I vaguely think we might have guessed it, but I really feel like our guess was never, he's just basically going to call her a piece of shit. Like, after all the dad stuff and all the father stuff, I don't think that was the swerve we guessed. But it does help with Clothos' turn, like we said a long time ago, of something's going to happen to Atropos, and that's what's going to make her go to the good side. Because, like, Hodor a long time ago was like, no, like, your gotcha is you want to be powerful, but we can still be friends. I don't understand why we're not friends. So she, like, finally has, like, this is obviously her culminating moment of what's going to swerve her, because she knows what happened. She knows that, like, the whole time was dad feels this way about us. Dad's going to watch us. She wanted her little sister taken care of. And now, like, effectively she has no more sister. And it's just crazy. Like, that has to be, like, that sets up, like, one main huge plot point coming into the finale now. Like, there's a bunch of them are set up this time, but that's definitely, like, the good big one for where the sisters go in 49 and 50.
Yeah, it feels like they're really doing a good job of having those dominoes fall in very satisfying ways. And, like, I'm not saying it's like it's obvious, but, like, they're doing a good job of doing, like, very clear, this is leading to this is leading to this. where sometimes, like, I'll say Kamen Rider in general, but like especially Gotchard can kind of come out of nowhere with things. And obviously it's a show for kids and teens, so like it's not like they're gonna set up a ton of stuff, but like in this one they are doing a good job where like the motivations are gonna be clear when that turn happens. um and like Atropos, even like her change of heart here made a lot of sense, because we have known for the whole series basically that her motivating factor is like he's her dad. She wants to, impress her dad, get her dad's love. Like, she wants to be a daughter, like wants to have a father figure. So as soon as he strips that away from her, basically that's when she's just like, okay, well, screw this. This girl has been nice to me, and like I've pushed her away because of him. So now I'm gonna help her, and I'm gonna sacrifice myself for her.
And it's funny because that one I know for sure months and months ago, after all the times that were like, I think it was the first time when like Atropos used to keep doing the "this is all your fault, everyone's gonna die, this is all your fault," and that first episode where Kudo is like, "Why are you so mean all the time? Do you just want a friend?" And like there's that weird swerve starting there. Like this was, we kind of talked about it last week with some other stuff, like the Hodoro Spanner 47 episode arc to why they fought and the words they said during their fight.
Yep.
This is the equivalent to, I guess, put a bow on the Kudo Atropos stuff of, yeah, like they've been telegraphing the fuck out of this for quite some time now, and they had, the payoff was good. Like they worked little magic the entire show, and now right at the end here we got like the true final fantastic payoff for what that actually meant.
Yeah. And we can jump around here because I think this episode benefits from this and having kind of all the information out. I think that setting all that up and linking Kudo and Atropos kind of from a very early episode number, and having them be this sort of like like almost like DNA chain like swirling together throughout the story. Made the her big like upgrade form here at the end pay off too, right? Like she only was able to ascend to the next level when they were finally together, right? Like she, they become one or whatever, as the little chant says in her idol animation. And that's cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that they had to kind of both become sort of their full true selves and combine to upgrade Kudo. But I totally agree. I think the dad stuff was great. I think this is, I guess, Kudo's dad. I think this is the best he's been in the show, because he sort of has been sort of like a faceless character up to this point. He hasn't seemed much like a dad. He's just kind of been a mysterious figure. And he got to do some good dad work, I think, in this episode, or at least passable dad work, better than he has been doing. And not even just with Kudo, but also with like his concern for Atropos and his concern for Spanner as he's healing him and helping him back to his feet. So we got to see some of that caretaker role of him, which was nice. But Garion, like, holy cow, like, for as much as I knew it was all bullshit and he was lying and there's no way that he actually cared about Atropos, I 100% believed for the first part of this episode. I'm like, oh wow, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they're gonna swerve me here and he actually cares. So then the point where he basically then is like, no, I don't care about you. Like, you're nothing to me. It hit really, really well. And they did a really good job at that. Yeah. I did like that we got the dad crew teaming up here too. That was a fun combo of those two characters. Obviously they have a history, just the two of them, but then I also like it's the dad team heading to do it. So we see, of course, the girls are locked up with Galia, and we get an explanation here as well of what Galia wants to do with Atropos and with Kudo. She wants to turn Atropos into a chimera, and we get a vision of what it looks like, and it is this like horrible, like unspeakable monster floating through the city. Atropos is kind of at the center of it, and Kudo is just sort of dangling underneath, in a really like horrific looking way. And it's just wreaking havoc on the city, destroying the whole world. And that's what she has in mind to do with Atropos. And it's terrible and horrific. And then it's like extra awful later when we find out Oh no, that's exactly what Garion wants to do. He just wants to be in charge of
Yeah.
it. It's the only difference. He also wants to make a chimera. He just wants to be the one who gets to do it. And Atropos is still going to be the one who gets turned into it. Yeah, just wild stuff.
Yeah, his swerve line was when Atropos looked confused, he kneeled down in front of her, like when you talk to a little kid, to like eye level face to face, and he was like, "Haven't you figured it out yet? My eternal love for you has all been a lie." And he just like kind of smirks and just walks away, like such a hardcore shot. With Kudo's new advanced form thing, I know they want to sell the cards. Them showing her two cards as the episode little lead-in thing, like they show the cards of the week,
Yeah.
kind of ruined she was going to get a final form out of this, or
Yeah.
like presumably what's a final form since there's not that many episodes left. So that was the only part of her new form that was super disappointing, was just that they telegraphed it so hard.
So they also because I saw, so after last week's episode, I saw, I think I posted on Reddit or something of like it's Majade's final form, and like they had a picture or whatever. So that that tells me, I think that this is true, that I believe they showed it in the like preview for next episode on episode 47. So I think they spoiled it a week in advance even, which is even worse.
Okay. I will say though, like when she got to do final form and got to do her rider kick or whatever she called it, it was some different name. They
Yeah.
did this cool thing with, I guess, with the graphics, we'll call it, where like the screen kind of went like shadows only. So it was a cool like dark purplishly orange like swirly screen behind her, and just her shadow like kind of lit up like the Gotchard colors when she did the kick. And I don't know the best way to explain it, but like the graphics on her final moment were like looked fantastic.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. I liked it as well. Really, just the whole style, I think, of her upgrade is awesome. She uses, so let's see, she is called, they had a name for her. Um, Twilight Majade. That's what this form is called. Her driver is called the Majesty Driver, which is very cool. And it's all kind of light and dark. The mixture of light and dark is sort of the theme of the whole driver and everything. And like it does the little like repeating chant as the standby for the driver, which is dancing in the dark 2-in-1, dancing in the dark 2-in-1, which is really cool. And I think the look of the upgrade is cool. It's like kind of understated. Like it's not like giant, huge plastic like a lot of the Kamen Rider upgrades are. Again, it's mostly sort of like chest focused, helmet focused, and kind of shoulders focused a little bit. Like her legs are basically unchanged. But it's cool. She has like a cool visor. Like her chest piece is cool and like kind of clear, colored plastic on the chest piece, and it's more rounded. So it's a neat looking upgrade. We're not gonna get to see it very much, but it looks cool.
It's a good like companion Kamen Rider suit to Hodoro's. Like they match better now than I feel like they used to.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So like I think they did the best they could for, or not the best they could. Like they made them look like a better pair of like these are the two heroes kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that they fit well together now. And the other big thing that happens here that we definitely have to talk about is the dad team shows up to try to save the girls, and like pretty much instantly they get transported away to this like dual zone by Galia. Kudo and Atropos get turned into cards, so they can't really do much to save them. And the two dads get frozen in place. They get their alchemy rings taken away, and the alchemy rings get forged into a gun. And the dads are forced to play Russian roulette against each other. That is the hardest thing that has ever happened in Kamen Rider. Not the hardest, but it's the hardest thing that's ever happened in like modern Kamen Rider. I'll say, just just make these girls watch their dads play Russian roulette against each other is an insane thing.
And like that part was, I guess, to make it lighthearted or corny, or to ease some of the tension of, hey, these two guys are literally holding a revolver at each other and going back and forth. Like Hodoro slash Gotchard figures out they're like in this mirror world and sees the mirror. So he starts swinging swords at it and stuff, and like he can't get in to help them. And my first thought was, if you don't know what the mirror does or how they got there, I feel like trying to break it is not the smartest move. Just
Yeah,
in case, like
it
if you
seems
break it, they
dangerous.
might get stuck in there.
Yeah.
Like that seemed very not well thought out. But like the goofiest part was at some point, Glia, as they say it, right?
Yeah, that's how I'm saying it. I don't know if
Okay.
it's right or not.
So during the ramblings, she was like, the only things that are allowed in here are part of the duel. That means guns and bullets, blah, 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 or something stupid. So then Hodoro like sends in a Kemi gun because then the Kemi can get in and then he can come in with them. And it was still like corny, absurd little kid silliness, but I
And
guess it kind of
we've seen the gun before. It's the one that we use in the Wrestler G episode, because the guys come in to try to shake down the owner of the gym, and like they pull a gun, and then we get the Kemi gun that fires butterflies, like if I remember correctly. Or maybe it turned their gun into the Kemi gun that fires butterflies. I don't remember exactly, but we've seen the gun that fires butterflies before in the show, so it was a fun callback to get that back.
The other fun callback that I was really happy about this episode is we went back to the good old days where Kudo was just bait for everybody and not so much like a story beat. Like she got her moment in the end, obviously, but went back to the OG. Just a reminder how the show started.
That's fair. That's fair. I do think the dad, we're not going to obviously talk about it like beat for beat with what they say, but I think the conversation between the dads while they're playing Russian roulette is good and interesting, because you're left wondering at the end of the episode, like, okay, so Garion says a lot of stuff there, and how much of it did he mean versus how much of it was just him talking? Because he kind of talks about, like you said, like, oh, I was jealous of what you and Atropos had, and I thought that I was above it, and I didn't was envious of your abilities and all this stuff, but like I found myself still making a daughter just like yours and stuff. So you wonder at the end, like, okay, did he have like moments of humanity that he was trying to that were happening inside of him, or was he just basically trying to taunt Kudo's dad during their Russian roulette fight? I don't know. It's interesting to probably go back and like think about what they said now in the context of him telling Atropos he doesn't care about her and it was all a lie. But I did like the way that Hodoro figures out to get in the duel zone. I thought that was cute and very Hodoro to come up with that as a solution. The fight moved outside after that, and then we do get a good fight with the dads. We get a good fight with Hodoro's involved. He gets dehensioned. Kudo gets dehensioned. And then yes, that's when Kudo is about to get shot, and Atropos kind of sacrifices herself for Kudo. And in a very sad scene, Kudo is kind of holding Atropos' body as she's dying. She fades away, and then Kudo picks up the little like cube thing that Atropos always carried, and it turns into a ring, and then that's where we get the Kudo upgrade from that point.
And then Atropos, it's hard to tell if she's still alive-ish, only in the sense like I guess we'll call it, they go into like Kudo's brain.
Yeah, they've like merged it's just like a little, into one. Yeah,
it's just like a little white room. There's a little like fog between the two of them, or like a sheer curtain kind of thing. And Atropos like Atropos' spiel right before she took the bullet was like, you know what? I promised you long ago I won't hurt anybody anymore. All you ever wanted to do was be my friend, and I never knew why, but like I can be a friend too. So that's when she took the shot. And then when they have their talk in Kudo's brain, we'll call it, post fight, or like right before Kudo does the finisher kick thing, where Atropos like, no, like it's okay, like I have to go, but I'm still here, kind of thing, and she kind of like fades away. So I don't know if that just means like she's quote unquote part of Kudo in like the ring now, or if they can like call back on her memory later and she gets to come back in the ending, or there's a lot of ways to play that now.
Yeah, because at least for this fight, she was 100% a part of Kudo. Because like there's an explanation at some point where Kudo says like, "Oh, I I'm not controlling my own actions, or like, oh, I didn't know I was going to do that. And then we get the scene in her brain where kind of Atropos is like, oh yeah, I can guide your body now, and like Galia can't predict our movements because now we're one. Like, we're both in here basically controlling you. Um, so they go out of their way to tell you that that's what's happening kind of here, is like Atropos has some means of influence over over Kudo's body. But you're right, she does still kind of do like the fade away at the end in the brain. So it'll be interesting to know if it's like that was just sort of her like force ghost that'll be gone now, or if she's just going to kind of be in there forever in Kudo, and Kudo will just be two people now from now on.
I feel like the show's too happy to let her stay dead. I could
Me
be
too.
wrong on this one, but I feel like the two sisters that are still around, I feel like they're gonna want the little sister back. And
I agree.
obviously the two adult sisters, Lachesta and Clotho, like they can obviously have their happy ending where like Lachesta's like, no, look, being human's kind of fun. Like we can all hang out and be friends. We don't have to fight, which is obviously the ending of those two. Like whether they have one more big battle together or not, which I'm pretty sure they will. Uh, their obvious conclusion is, yeah, being friends with humans is okay. Let's try to be human. I just feel like their happiness wouldn't be happy if Atropos wasn't still around. So I feel like at some point defeating Girion's gonna like undo her death or something. Or
Yeah, I think we'll have some hand wavy way to bring her back to life. Whether it is, oh, you beat Gary and so you pop back out again, or Sabi has invented a device that extracts brain power to turn it into humans again, or something, right? Like there's going to be some
or
sort
they
of
can put her in Isaac. They could be like, oh, Isaac can be upgraded with
yeah,
other memories because she has special abilities, and oh, you have her ring, so we can forge her ring into a new doll because now we have the technology.
yeah. There's going to be something like that.
Or even like they have, in theory, we might never see it again, but they have the bootleg Chemi place where Sabi's brother works.
Yeah,
So like, oh, we can turn the ring and those powers into make her a Chemi, so she's happy, and make them all into Chemis or something. Like they have again,
it,
like from starting from that episode, they started setting up all their little quirks of like, if we want to get out of something, we have ways to do it now.
yep.
And there just seems like there's a bunch of outs if they want to bring Atropos back.
And we do still know that there's something up with Garion and the lady who runs that offshoot academy, because like he whispered something to her as he left. I
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there definitely could be something still there that like he knows about, or she's hiding from him or something. Yeah, we could loop them back into the story pretty easily and have them be involved in Atropos's like resurrection.
I mean, like he
So
could have secretly said like, "How's our kid doing?" Like they actually had a
yeah.
kid, and then they could just like turn that kid into Atropos with that half of the ring or something. Like there's so many outs because it's
Yeah.
even like when Spanner had his secret whisper, we solved that 30 seconds later when Lachesis knew. But like if we never knew what the other whisper was, we like again we have options now of this is what we can do. Like they literally could have picked anything, just had him whisper and didn't even think about it. And they just said like, okay, when we get towards the end of the show, let's figure out how we can use this. And
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I agree with you. I think we'll get Atropos back. I don't know in exactly what way, but I think one of those ways would be interesting. I do hope we reintroduce either like what he whispered to her, or like bring them back in some way to factor into the ending, because I do think they left it in such a way that they kind of set it up that they should come back. But we'll see if that actually happens or not. I think so far that they're kind of knocking the ending out of the park. I've really liked these last two episodes, and I think they are like taking all the pieces and putting them together really well. And it's lining up in a very like neat, cute little way of like, oh yeah, you did sort of like foreshadow that a long time ago. I like that. um, so hopefully they can keep doing that for two more episodes here. All right, Toby, I think that is going to wrap us up for this week for episode 48. Um, So congratulations on finishing Gotchard for you. I'll tell you. I'll
hell,
tell you all
hell of a
about these
banger of
last
the
two.
last answer, or last episode.
Toby, why don't you tell the people where they can find you on the internet?
On Twitter, it's Life of Tobes. On YouTube, it's Tobes Plays. And now, Josh, on Retro Achievements, it's also Tobes Plays.
Oh, are we doing retro achievements now?
We're doing retro achievements now. The Navigator mentioned being a Mario Karter, and for whatever reason, it made me think of like, hey, I wonder if I could beat that game still. And for whatever reason, it reminded me of, hey, there's retro achievements now. I should look at this. So then I went down the deep dark hole of downloaded all the SNES ROMs, all the NES
Nice.
ROMs, and then a bunch of PlayStation games or PS2 games I wanted to play again. But I've already 100%ed ActRaiser because I loved that game growing up, and I went through that way quicker than I thought I was going to. So
Jesus.
I must have been a dumb kid, and it was a little bit tougher back then than it was now. But basically, it took me 2 days of 3-4 hours probably to like burn through the game enough times to get all the achievements. So I'm locked in
Nice.
now. I'm locked in.
I love retro achievements. I have not gotten as many as I would like to, but anytime like I'm playing on an emulator and I can log in and turn that on, it's like totally worth doing because it's so much fun. Like playing these old games with achievements is so cool.
Yeah, like it was interesting because so retro achievements, the way it works is you make an account and there's a handful of emulators that you can kind of sync to retro achievements. Like they have their recommended set. And basically it pops achievements the same way they pop in like Xbox games and PlayStation games.
Mm-hmm.
So I installed it, I was messing with it, and I was like, oh, I'll test it on Super Mario World because I know I can beat this game. There's a bunch of achievements. So I went through and got the first one, and the little image popped up, and I was like, ooh, this feels good again. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I don't want to commit all this time to Super Mario World because I know I can, like as a kid, like basically when I was a kid, I didn't have a bunch of games. So my thing, no matter what, was always I tried to 100% the game in a game where like it made it visible to you. Like Mario was 120 stars. The hard path, the Star Road stuff. Like Donkey Kong Country had an actual 100% tracker. All those things. So I was like, I know I can do this. I did it as a kid. It can't be much like harder now. So I went. I'm deep in it again. I decided to start replaying Ape Escape for PlayStation, and that feels
Nice.
good because I missed that game.
Yeah, I got deep into retro achievements when I first got the Steam Deck is when I like had plugged it in and I started because they have pretty good retro achievement support in the whole like Steam Deck hacking tool and stuff. So I started playing Pokemon Yellow specifically because of the achievements. And I'm looking at the site now. I got 39 of 76 of them. And then I just kind of fell off the game and didn't keep playing it. I need to go back and finish that up because I was on track to get all of them and they're all doable. I just need to actually like finish the game. But that's probably the one I've gotten the most out of from a single game. At some point, I decided I would try to do a bunch of the Tetris ones, and the Tetris achievements on NES are hard AF. I have 11 of them, and they're challenging. Is my memory of those.
And the funny thing too is like they have special tags for like they call it like it's either hardcore or not hardcore. And hardcore is basically you don't use like ROM save states.
Yeah.
So
That's always what I have turned on is the hardcore one.
yeah, so did I. So like the only like I'll say I got weak, and like the ActRaiser has basically a boss rush part, and I'm obviously not a 12-year-old with nothing to do with my time anymore. Like I have a job and adult things to do. So I was like, well, I need to save it halfway through, or I'm never gonna have enough time to sit here and do this all probably. Or like I was going back and forth on it. So then I turned hardcore off, and the site has like gold banners around the hardcore achievements and just like the pictures for the achievements if it's not hardcore. So I have some like softcore points now, they call them. And it feels kind of bad, but I know I needed to do it, so I'll just have to live.
I think I probably have some like softcore ones just because I like didn't know to turn on the hardcore mode at the time or whatever. But yeah, it's fun to do the hardcore ones when you can. I won't fault you for not having 100% hardcore. Like that's probably not realistic for most games, for a lot of games, but it's fun to do the hardcore when you can. There's
Josh,
a Tetris one.
What's your
What's
name
my
on Retro
name?
Achievements? Yeah.
My name on Retro Achievements is Pretty Dece, all one word. So easy to find there for people. And I will. You've inspired me. I'm gonna go back and try to get some more of these. There's one on Tetris. I'm looking at it now. That was super fun to do. I apparently unlocked it at 4 a.m. one day, according to this. It's clear 5 lines on game type A without turning any piece.
So just drop them in.
Yeah. So think about Tetris and think about the pieces and think about like how that completely changes your strategy of how you play Tetris. Really fun to do that one. Yeah. So there's some pretty inventive ones that people have made that are more than just like beat this level, that kind of stuff.
And if it's not obvious, I feel like it would be, but like if it's not obvious, like so basically the way retro achievements work are it seems like whoever made the site is just good with coding, can make things pop in emulators now, kind of like they would track in normal consoles or new consoles, whatever. But obviously there was no achievements back then. So they kind of like cherry pick what would be hard things to do in games and just put tags on them. Like
Yeah.
the easier ones are just like using like Super Mario World, like an easy game. It'd be like beat the whole first world, beat the whole second world, ride Yoshi for the first time, and like the real basic ones that would be in games now if it was a thing. And then some are just like things that could be done that they can track with stats, and they kind of made those achievements too. Like the one ActRaiser one was get the maximum world population possible, because it's kind of like a SimCity kind of ish game.
Mm-hmm.
And like as a kid, I always thought I did it because eventually like the game tells you like, oh, this world's maxed. But like the way you actually max it is there's like seedy underbelly stuff that I never knew about as a kid because no one knew then. But there's like little things you have to do in like the fight modes to get enough points to get enough population, and it was kind of cool. Like like it taught me a new thing about a game I loved as a kid that I never even knew was a thing.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, like as a adult now, like with the coding stuff and everything else, I was like, this is actually pretty sick. Like people sat here and thought about all the things you could do, and then they have the tracking for it, and then I've learned new game stuff and all sorts of nonsense.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's super fun, and like genuinely one of the there's a lot of like interesting community things, people coming together to make cool stuff on the internet, and this is definitely like one of them. Like a giant community of people making achievements and figuring out how to plug them into various emulators and stuff. Like it's a really neat thing that a community has done.
And then I had a classic Toby moment where there's Ape Escape was the reason. I'm pretty sure Ape Escape 2 was the reason I bought a PlayStation 2. Like that was my introduction game that I got with the system, because it seemed fun to me. Like it's collecting stuff kind of stuff. So I was thinking about it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to grab all the Ape Escape games. Like I know I will play them all. I enjoyed the games to play as a kid. I'm going to play them all now. So I got the first 3, and then I was looking for the 4th one, and I was like, why isn't the 4th one on the site? Why can't I find a ROM for the 4th one? And I sat there and thought about it for a couple minutes, and then I was like, oh, moron. It's a PS3 game. Like it actually had trophies.
Yeah.
Like it's not retro. It's a current console basically that has achievements. They have their own fucking trophy system built into it. Like that's not what retro achievements is for. And then I laughed and I got the vibe better.
That's funny. I'm seeing on the site too. So The Thing for PlayStation 2 is a game I've wanted to play for a long time and just have never gotten around to it. But The Thing is one of my favorite movies. And they just like a few days ago added retro achievements for that game. I feel like it's a sign that I should play that now.
Get back in there.
All right. Well, that's our retro achievement segment here.
You got bonus bullshitting. You got bonus extra bullshitting today.
A little bit at the end. For me, you can find me on Twitter at PrettyDeceJosh, on YouTube at PrettyDece, and apparently also on Retro Achievements at PrettyDece too. So that's going to do it for us for this week. We will be back to talk about episode 49. Despite Toby saying he's finished, he will be here with me to talk about episode 49. Don't worry out there in listener land. Do check out the Patreon, patreon.com/thecommentwriters. You get all the bonus content, get in the Discord. We'd love to have you there. And send in emails, cast@commonwritersucks.com. So again, come back next week for episode 49 discussion. We would love to have you. And until then, have a great week, everybody. Peace.
Josh is long. I'm not coming back.